Welcome to this deep dive into emotional warfare. A world most people don't even realize they're fighting in every day. This isn't about physical chains or overt violence. No. The most dangerous battles happen inside your mind, inside your heart. It's about control, psychological control. And the weapons, smiles, tears, guilt trips, and manipulation disguised as care. Think about it. People no longer need to lock you in a cage or put you behind bars to control you. The most effective form of control today is psychological. They don't use chains, they use emotions, your emotions, as their leash. You were taught from the beginning of your life that feeling deeply makes you human, that emotions are the essence of who you are. But here's the painful truth. The more you feel, the easier you are to control. When you care too much, you hand over your power. You give others the strings to pull you, to make you move against your own interest. The deeper your emotions, the more vulnerable you become. This vulnerability is the playground for manipulators. Love, fear, guilt. These aren't just feelings. They are tools, weapons wielded expertly by those who want to dominate you. They will make you fall for false stories, fake tears, and manufactured pain. Because when facts don't work, emotion always does. Emotion bypasses logic, hijacks reason, and tricks you into surrendering your ground. Have you ever caught yourself doubting your own decisions because someone made you feel sorry for them? That's the battlefield. You don't even see it, but in that moment you've lost control. And the saddest part? The people who feel the most. The ones who react instantly, who forgive blindly, who love without limits. They are the easiest prey. They walk around like open wounds, vulnerable and exposed. They believe their softness is strength, but in reality, it is a liability that others exploit again and again. That's why detachment is your greatest armor. Not to be confused with coldness or numbness. Detachment means emotional discipline. It means being in control of your feelings instead of being controlled by them. You learn when to feel and when to stop feeling. You learn when to engage and when to withdraw. Because emotions are tools, powerful when used correctly, dangerous when they run wild. Imagine being able to stay silent when chaos erupts around you. Imagine smiling in the face of betrayal and walking away from tears that are just tactics designed to trap you. This is not cruelty. This is freedom. In this world, manipulators constantly test you. They poke and prod, trying to pull your strings to see if you'll react. If you do, you become predictable, readable, controllable. But if you respond with calm silence and emotional neutrality, they panic. Their weapons fail. Their stories don't move you. Their anger can't scare you. Their tears don't soften you. That stillness, that unshakable calm, that's true power. It's a power that cannot be stolen because it doesn't rely on others' approval. It comes from inside. When you no longer need to be liked, when you no longer feel guilt for doing what's best for you, when you no longer fear being misunderstood, you become untouchable. That is the edge few develop. Because most people are too busy reacting, over-explaining, drowning in feelings that weren't even theirs to begin with. But not you. You will learn how to master this battlefield, to become the calm in the storm. Remember, the battlefield of emotional warfare is invisible, but deadly real. And your first step to victory is understanding this truth. Now that you understand the battlefield, let's take a closer look at the weapons manipulators use, how they get inside your head and make you betray yourself. Manipulation isn't about brute force. It's a slow, calculated art. They don't yell and scream because that often backfires. Instead, they smile, they flatter you, they guilt trip you, and most dangerously, they make you question your own reality. Every emotional response you have is a string they pull, making you move exactly how they want. Think about the last time someone said, "After everything I've done for you." That's guilt bait. They want you to feel indebted, to lower your defenses. They want you to apologize even when you did nothing wrong, or when someone tells you no one else would care like I do. That's control bait. It plants the idea that if you don't comply, you're ungrateful or cold. They twist your words, pretend not to understand, confuse you, and wear you down until you're exhausted trying to prove yourself. Manipulators don't want to resolve conflicts or find truth. They want dominance. Their tactics include playing the victim to avoid accountability, shifting blame to make you the problem, throwing passive-aggressive jabs to unsettle you, using silent treatment to punish you, crying on cue to soften your resistance. All these moves are designed to make you doubt yourself, to break your emotional armor. And here's the key. The moment you react, with anger, guilt, or desperation, they've won. You become predictable. You become their puppet. But when you respond with silence and calm, when you refuse to engage in their emotional traps, their power crumbles. They need your emotional reactions to survive. Without them, they are powerless. Imagine someone who throws a tantrum in a room full of stone walls, screaming at silence. Frustration builds, but the walls don't break. That's what emotional detachment looks like. It's not about not caring. It's about controlling when and how you care. You keep your peace as your highest priority. When you stop giving manipulators access to your emotional energy, you stop being their fuel. And that's when you begin to reclaim your power. By now, you understand how manipulators prey on your emotions, how they use every tear and smile as a weapon against you. The question now is, how do you build your defenses? How do you become emotionally bulletproof? First, know this. Emotional strength isn't about becoming heartless or cold. It's about mastering your inner world. It's about learning when to open your heart and when to shut the gates. Your emotions are not enemies. They're tools. They can be powerful allies or dangerous weaknesses, depending on who controls them. Step 1 in building your emotional fortress is awareness. You must become a keen observer of your feelings. Notice when you're being triggered. What words make your chest tighten? When do you feel compelled to react instantly? This self-awareness gives you the power to pause. In that pause, you regain control. Instead of reacting blindly, you choose your response. You decide whether to engage, to withdraw, or to simply observe. Step 2 is setting boundaries. Many people struggle with boundaries because they fear being disliked or abandoned. But boundaries aren't walls to keep others out. They're gates that protect your peace. Learn to say no without apology. When someone pushes your limits, remind yourself, your peace matters more than their comfort. Step 3 is silence as a weapon. Silence can be the most powerful response in a world that demands emotional reactions. When someone tries to bait you, resist the urge to explain yourself. Don't justify your feelings or decisions to those who want to manipulate you. Your silence is a refusal to be drawn into their chaos. Step 4 is detachment. This means caring without losing yourself. You can feel empathy without letting it chain you. You can understand pain without carrying it. Detachment is not indifference, it's clarity. You see others suffering, but don't let it drown your own truth. Finally, step 5 is reclaiming your power. Remember, no one has the right to control how you feel. Your emotions belong to you, not to those who try to use them against you. When you take back that control, you're no longer a puppet on their strings. You become a master of your emotional kingdom. This transformation isn't easy. It requires practice, patience, and persistence. But every moment you choose control over reaction, you grow stronger. And that strength makes you untouchable. Now that you know how to build your emotional fortress, let's explore the incredible power of silence and emotional neutrality, the secret weapons that manipulators fear the most. In a world obsessed with reactions, silence is revolutionary. When manipulators push your buttons, they expect a fight, an outburst, an apology, a defense. But what happens when you don't give them any of that? When you stay calm, composed, and silent, you deny them the emotional fuel they need. Silence confuses them. It unsettles them. It breaks their game. Because manipulators thrive on chaos, confusion, and emotional storms. Your calmness is like water on fire. It puts out the flames they light. Emotional neutrality doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't let your feelings control your actions. You observe your emotions without being ruled by them. Imagine being a rock in a stormy sea. The waves crash and roar, but the rock remains unmoved. That's emotional neutrality. This mindset disarms manipulators because their usual tactics, guilt, tears, anger, become ineffective. When they cry, you don't rush to soothe. When they accuse, you don't defend. When they rage, you don't retaliate. You simply remain steady, unshaken. This level of detachment is terrifying to them. They lose control because their power depends on your emotional reaction. Without it, they are exposed, their manipulation naked and powerless. But silence and neutrality require strength and practice. It's natural to want to respond, to explain yourself, to defend your truth. But the more you engage, the more you feed the manipulator's game. Learning to say nothing, to hold your peace, and to trust your inner strength is the ultimate act of self-control. Remember, power isn't always loud. Sometimes the quietest person in the room holds the most power. By mastering silence and emotional neutrality, you reclaim your freedom. You become untouchable. And that is the kind of power no one can take away. We've covered the battlefield, the manipulator's tactics, building your emotional fortress, and the power of silence. Now, it's time to uncover one of the most insidious weapons manipulators use against you: emotional blackmail, and how to break free from it. Emotional blackmail is a subtle, cruel form of control. It doesn't rely on force, but on exploiting your deepest vulnerabilities, your empathy, your guilt, your need to be liked. You've probably experienced it. Someone making you feel responsible for their pain, or implying that if you don't do what they want, you're heartless or selfish. They might say things like, "If you really loved me, you'd..." Or, "After everything I've sacrificed, this is how you repay me." These phrases are not about love or sacrifice. They're about control dressed as obligation. The goal is to trap you in a cycle of guilt and compliance. They use your kindness against you, turning your empathy into chains. And the worst part, the more you try to fix things, the deeper you sink. Because emotional blackmail is a trap with no exit unless you choose to break it. So how do you break free? Step 1 is to recognize the blackmail for what it is: manipulation, not genuine concern. When you feel guilt or obligation triggered by someone else's words or actions, pause and question it. Is this your burden to carry? Or are you being unfairly coerced? Step 2 is to refuse to accept responsibility for their feelings. Their emotions are theirs, not yours. You are not obligated to sacrifice your peace for someone else's drama. Step 3 is setting clear, firm boundaries. When you say no, mean it. Don't explain yourself or offer excuses. A simple "I'm not comfortable with that" is enough. Step 4 is detachment from the emotional blackmail. Detach not by shutting down your heart, but by protecting your mind. See their tactics clearly. Understand that their tears or anger are often tools, not truths. Step 5 is to seek support and reinforce your self-worth. Surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries and encourage your strength. Remember, you are not responsible for saving those who refuse to grow. Finally, practice consistent emotional discipline. Every time you resist the urge to give in to blackmail, you strengthen your armor. Every time you choose your peace over guilt, you reclaim your power. Breaking free from emotional blackmail isn't easy. It takes courage. It takes resolve. But it's necessary if you want to live free. Because no one deserves to be held hostage by someone else's manipulation. And when you finally break the chains, you'll discover a freedom deeper than you ever imagined. Welcome to the final part of this journey. Now that you've learned about the battlefield, the manipulator's tactics, how to build your emotional fortress, wield silence as power, and break free from emotional blackmail, it's time to master emotional dominance and live untouchable. Emotional dominance isn't about suppressing your feelings or becoming robotic. It's about commanding your emotions, steering them instead of being steered by them. It means you feel deeply when it serves you and you shut down emotional attacks when they threaten your peace. Imagine living with an inner calm so strong that no outside chaos can shake you. A presence so steady that manipulators look at you and know they cannot control you. This kind of power shifts the entire dynamic of your relationships and your life. You become a force that others must respect, or they simply fall away. This is emotional sovereignty. To master this, practice these final keys. Emotional awareness. Continuously check in with yourself. Know your triggers and how to disarm them. Emotional neutrality. Maintain calmness and silence as your default responses to manipulation attempts. Boundary enforcement. Protect your mental and emotional space fiercely and without apology. Non-reactivity. Refuse to engage in emotional chaos. When pushed, respond with thoughtful silence or calm clarity. Self-respect. Value your peace above all else. Remember, it's not selfish to protect yourself. It's essential. Empathy with boundaries. Care for others, but never at the cost of your own well-being. Know when to step back. When you embody these principles, you stop being a puppet and become the puppeteer. You control the narrative of your emotional world. Manipulators lose their power because they thrive on your reaction, and you give them none. They resort to desperation, and sometimes they leave. That's freedom. You owe no one your emotional energy. You owe no one your peace. You owe yourself the life you want, full, free, and emotionally untouchable. This is the real awakening. The moment you stop reacting is the moment you start living. Thank you for joining me through this exploration. If you're ready to destroy every emotional chain and claim your freedom, remember this truth. Feel nothing to their tactics. Control everything in your life. You are stronger than any manipulator. You are untouchable. And now, you have the power.